All right, let's dive into one of the most fascinating characters from the Convergence, Dmitri Volkov. And we're not just starting anywhere. We're jumping in right at the moment his whole world just completely falls apart.
So picture this. You're in a high-end hotel suite in Brussels. It's a Monday, just before lunch, and you can just feel the tension. It's so thick you could cut it with a knife. This is it. For the very first time, we get to be inside Volkov's head.
So who is this guy really, right, in this moment? I mean, think of him as the ultimate puppet master, right? He's the one who's always 10 steps ahead, arranging every single piece on the board. But not anymore. The game's over. He's been checkmated. And everything is gone. Okay, to really get why this is all falling apart, you have to understand that there are basically two Dmitri Volkovs. There's the one the public sees, the oligarch. Powerful, always calculating, the guy pulling all the strings. But then there's the other side, the father. This guy is fiercely protective, totally devoted, a real patriarch. And for the longest time, we thought that was the whole picture. But deep down, at the very center of his entire story, at the heart of all this loss, it all comes down to one person, his wife, Elena. No matter what he does, no matter what drives him, it seems like every road just leads straight back to her. So here's the story we've all been told, right? The official version. 20 years back, Elena dies in this horrible car crash in Switzerland. It was just a tragic accident, a random, awful thing. That's the story he told everyone, the world, his own family, and for 2 decades, nobody ever questioned it. And then, bam, just a few words, and that entire foundation just crumbles. Except it wasn't an accident. Think about that. The story that has defined his entire life, his grief, everything for the last 20 years, it was all a lie. So, what was the real story? Well, the truth is, it's shockingly simple and cold. This wasn't some crime of passion or a heat-of-the-moment thing. Nope, it was a business transaction. He made one phone call. A call to those people who, take care of problems. 3 weeks later, she was gone. Just like that. One. Just one. That's all it took. A single phone call. And with that one action, he set in motion the event that would define his entire life. It's just staggering to think about the weight of that one single decision. And this is where we get to the absolute core of who Dmitri Volkov is. This unbelievable contradiction. Look, this wasn't some business rival or an enemy he was taking out. He arranged to have the woman he loved more than anything else in the entire world killed. Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question, the one you're probably screaming right now. Why? I mean, seriously, what could possibly make a man do something so monstrous to kill the one person who was, for all intents and purposes, the center of his entire universe? And the answer? Oh, it's a gut punch. It's right there in the text. Because she had discovered what he really was. It was her love for him that led her to see the truth. And that truth, well, it got her killed. So here's the bottom line. For Volkov, the guy who's all about control, about protecting his world, his secret self was the most important thing. It was everything. And Elena, the woman he adored, suddenly became the biggest threat to that secret, just because she knew. In his messed up way of thinking, the secret was worth more than her life. And this really gets to the core idea of this whole chapter, summed up in that one line, when a monster reveals he was a man. It's a total paradox, isn't it? You have this absolutely monstrous act, but it comes from something deeply human, that instinct to protect yourself just twisted into something horrible. It reminds us that behind the monster was a man who made a terrible, unforgivable choice. And, this goes way beyond just Volkov. It's really a comment on the nature of villainy in general. Even villains have a story. What they do doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? There's always a backstory, a reason, a motivation, even if it's something we find totally dark and impossible to understand. So at the end of all this, we're left with a really haunting question. Because here's the thing. Volkov's grief for Elena was absolutely real. He felt it every day, even though he was the one who caused her death. He's been living with that impossible contradiction for 2 decades. And it just makes you wonder, can a monster have a conscience? Can someone do something so evil and still genuinely feel the pain of what they've lost? That's the question that just kind of sticks with you long after the story is told.